Awesome. I'm really looking forward to this conversation with Paul Kassar from DanAds. Paul, I feel like if there's anyone that talks to as many publishers as I do, like you're up there. Whenever I see you a lot. I see you a lot in the various events and stuff like that. Is that true? You think you're getting a chance to talk to a lot of people over the course of your work?
Yeah, it's true that I see you everywhere, and I spend most of my time talking to publishers, whether that's in a Zoom call or at the hundreds of conferences that I go to every year. So absolutely, yeah.
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 Well, I'd love to talk to you just again, like kind of share notes. I mean, I'm obviously all the conversations I'm having, but I'm kind of curious some of the things that you're talking to publishers about. What are they asking of you? What are they wanting to talk to you about?
Yeah, sure. So, um, we talk to our publishers about what DanAds does. At our core is that we're helping publishers be more efficient operationally, whether that's through a conversation around how we can help them understand the self-serve market, understand how to implement technology, or just overall, automation of their tech stack. So we get into conversations about with publishers around primarily self-serve, but um, they typically lead to a lot more than that. Because once you start talking about the technology and trying to implement a strategy like that, we can get involved in the conversation around how they're managing their business, how they're managing campaigns and delivering campaigns. And there's a whole sort of massive elastic ball of problems to get through. And we come in and talk to them about that. And we find that publishers are really struggling with how do they make self-serve work? How do they become more efficient in sort of this current climate of, reduced resources and, from everything they're getting hit with currently. So we're here to help them. We understand automation. And we help them streamline their processes. And that's typically what we talk to publishers about. Of course, there are other issues that they deal with that are outside of our, sort of our core thing, but it's usually around, how can we be more efficient? How can we keep the revenue that we've got? How do we go after new revenue? And how can we be less reliant on programmatic?
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
I feel like the publishers that are in a position like again that think of and have that kind of direct sales or those opportunities, right? Are looking for ways to do that. And I mean, I think that's you've kind of nailed it in terms of just what I'm hearing as well of just this aspect of, I mean, I feel like almost everyone's being asked to do more with less
yeah,
in a tight marketplace. It's always pressure. There's always an opportunity for advertisers to find new places to go. And so there's an aspect of how do you bring in new business? How do you maintain old business? And then great, you have all this business that you're able to retain. How do you make it even more profitable? I mean, like those, it's such a core business piece, and it's kind of amazing. We've been in the digital publishing space for quite some time, and yet I feel like there's some underlying fundamental business things that we're still trying to figure out how to make all the pieces work.
yeah.
And do you feel like that's, like again, you're probably again talking to small companies, big companies. Are they really thinking about how to get new advertisers, or are you seeing kind of a shift of like how they actually work with their existing things? I'm sure it's both, but I'm just kind of curious.
Yeah, no, it's definitely both. I mean, the if we just talk about self-serve, the essence of self-serve is, it's a well-established concept that the platforms introduced and basically built their empires on going after, SMBs and tier two and tier three agencies and being able to do it at scale, yada yada yada. And but what we're trying to do is to give publishers the chance to go after that business as well through self-serve. In many cases, that's about going after net new business, or it could be about supporting a current sales team that you have that is responsible for local business within their organization. Where what we're also seeing is that when we talk about the efficiency play and getting more ROI on the lower hanging fruits, it doesn't necessarily just mean for new business. It's that we've got publishers looking at their current clients, advertisers, campaigns that, running through a managed service is just too costly. A managed service, what I mean by that is usually a sales rep handling an IO or an order that's like, multiple line items and yada, yada, yada. So looking at that business as well, saying, well, let's look at how we can, start running our existing business through the platform to create a couple of, things like more time for our sellers to focus on bigger things and to actually get the best ROI out of those campaigns or both, right? So self-serve doesn't necessarily mean that salespeople lose their jobs. So there's a lot of different ways to use it, and we've been doing it for like close to 15 years, so we've got a lot of experience on how to help them get through those stages. Make the organization comfortable with this is something he used to have, that direct relationship with customers that has you know pretty much gone away unless you're talking to them about big branded campaigns or this branded sponsorship campaigns. So we've always sat on that side of the publisher. It's like we want to help you sort of regain that control over the direct relationship with publishers. And there are many cases where you've got an advertiser that starts advertising through the self-serve platform. You know, you can start seeing how they're progressively spending more, and then that relationship can be more nourished between the seller and the advertiser. So those are some of the things that we focus on in our conversation with publishers.
You hit on a number of things there that I think, and again, I'll just share that, like, I've been working with DanAds. You've been a client of Beeler.Tech and supported Beeler.Tech and what we do. And one of the things I really enjoy is that we do these calls with publishers that are interested in self-serve and automation, whatever. And we've created these conversations, and I've kind of like learned a lot and learned a lot from you and the team as well. And you started off by just talking about how, the large platforms built their business. And I just remember kind of the light bulb, I got several light bulb moments I'm going to mention here, right? But one of them was just the fact that they've trained smaller advertisers how to do self-serve. So there's an aspect of it. At one time, you'd have to sit there and go like, why would someone want to buy this way? And now it's they already buy that way. They're just not buying it from you. You're not providing that thing. So like I just remember that being like,
Yeah,
again, learn from what they've done, steal the best of those ideas, and then
totally.
do it for yourself, right?
Yeah, yeah. And let's not forget, it didn't happen overnight, right? So, that's the other thing we deal with is expectations around, as a self-serve platform. And, we use the old baseball terminology, if you build it, they will not come. It takes time, it takes a good plan, then it takes resources to a certain degree, but we know it works. And but publishers have to be a little bit patient on it, or the ones that do it really well understand that and go all in, and they sort of follow the lead. So and then yeah, that's I don't know if I'm going on about that, but
Yeah, no, but well, no, I appreciate it. And I think there's a part that like, so I think that that's also, again, that's just also been very clear in terms of your positioning on this stuff has just been like, again, it isn't, you put up a storefront and people come to it. There's so much work. And I think that, again, many people are still unlocking that. And yet, one of the core pieces that you hit on, and again, I also appreciate, like you're saying, that it takes time. You've been at this automation game for some time. This
yeah,
isn't the new AI tool off, just like popped up here. And I really appreciate this because this is something I've been talking a lot more about has just been, do you need AI or do you need automation? Because those things are obviously connected, but there's an aspect of going, you don't really want AI to interpret how to put it in the ad server. You just want it to do it the right way, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like people kind of get caught up in all the opportunity. And if someone's saying to you in your role, you need to, how are you doing with AI and doing what you do? There's an aspect of going like, well, what aspect are you trying to get to? Because it may, in fact, just be automation that you're looking for and process and stuff like that. I think that that's one of the things that people get caught up in.
Well, yeah, and I think that it's easy to get caught up in the two in both of those things. But they're going to be essential. Like, so we're developing what we believe AI should be within how DanAds thinks that publishers will need AI as part of the offering, if you will. So, we know that with the platforms, you can just go in there and say, I want to sell more deodorant, and it will spit out, how to do that and what the spend is and all that kind of stuff. So, there's going to be outcome-based AI that's going to be important for publishers. There's no doubt about it. The whole AI thing is in such a early stage. It's really difficult to say what's going to happen. We can just only really base how quickly it's going based on what's happened in the last 6 months in
Mhm.
terms of how many people are using it, but it's going to be equally important for publishers to invest in that as it is equally important for us to. So I think it's going to be critical to their survival. And I think that we're only just beginning, and advertisers have been buying through self-serve platforms for a long time now. We're all using self-serve platforms in other aspects of our life. Like you wouldn't, I don't think you would even dream right now saying, I want to plan a trip to Hawaii. I'm going to call my travel agent and figure out all of the details. That just won't happen anymore. And that's already happening in digital media. So I think from a publisher's point of view, um, what has to happen is that they need to invest in their people. They need to transition their sellers. What we see a lot of is fear of automation, fear of self-serve taking over the jobs. The robots are coming. I don't believe that's going to happen, but where we see publishers really excelling with that is by really leaning into training for their staff. And if you look at the airline industry, if you read up about that, when they moved their call centers to just book it online, that wasn't easy for them. That involved them, transitioning a whole workforce to working a new way. It didn't mean that people lost their jobs. So these are the kind of things that I personally love about the challenge, to be honest with you, is the people factor. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's some of the things that need to be considered when you think about automating and getting buyers to not talk to someone to buy your inventory, because it's not going to happen without humans.
And I think, and to me, I agree. And I feel like, my take on the future of publishing is actually quite human and actually about human connection and trust and so forth. And so there's this aspect that, like, really what we're trying to do is create efficient ways to buy from us. Like
Yeah,
what's the quickest way that you can go and decide I want to work with you? You got to decide why. Well, again, publishers have to tell a narrative.
yeah,
Why buy me versus anything else?
yeah,
And then make it as easy to go from I want to buy to I've bought to I've got performance, I'm optimizing, we have a relationship and we build. So there's an aspect of that of going like I agree that like so much of the work, there are still publishers that are putting things into an Excel document that sends it to another group that then keys it into a system that then sends it to another to go into another system.
yeah.
And I just don't think you can operate that way anymore. Or there
You
should be a way
can,
to do
you can operate that way.
it. Yeah.
You mean they've been doing it
Yes.
for a long time, but it's going to have diminishing returns, that's for sure. So
That's like that's like being like a clothing designer, being focused on the one thing that no one can see. Like
yeah,
just take that part and work on the rest of it. So I
yeah,
think that that's, kind of where I go with it. you've heard me say this many times on those calls and then, when we're talking to people. But one of the things, and you kind of touched on this, but I want to kick it back to you. As someone that's been in operations for as long as I have, again, I am always looking for efficiencies. I like to joke that I'm like for being someone who's known for being an ad ops, I'm the worst at it because I never want to do the same thing twice. And that's
Right.
kind of par for the course for the job,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But I'm always trying to sit there and go like, how do you do this better? How do you do this better? And I always looked at outsourcing, not as like that I would outsource as much as if I needed to outsource, would I be ready to do so? Did I have all my ducks in a row to do so? Then we started having the conversations, with the community that we've built, right, around this, and it kind of just occurred to me of like actually like self-serve. Whether again you completely go to the point of saying, "Hey, small advertiser, you can buy a little small thing." If you can't think of it this way, it's just the capability by which to sit there and go out to market means you have to have everything else figured out.
Right.
And what a great exercise in terms of going through the process to get to that point, because
Right.
then you really are efficient, because otherwise it wouldn't work at all. So there's a part of that that I really am always thinking about when it comes to these kind of conversations.
Yeah.
And again, I think you're probably seeing that across, and I think one of the things I think you see quite a diversity of publishers, some who again are looking at new business, some that are trying to figure this out, that they're all trying to figure out this efficiency play and what
Yeah.
automation and these things can do.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, um, everybody's got sales teams, everybody's got revenue that they need to protect, and they've got a process. We talked a lot about managing things off of, Excel sheets. Publishers still do that. But a lot of them come to us and they tell us, we get an order and it's going into three different systems. The ones that are really working well with us and really get it, it's everything is connected. So connected to the CRM, to the ad server at one point of entry, and it get the information gets pushed downstream. So and to a certain degree, yes, you're getting your advertisers to buy from you directly through a self-serve platform is kind of like outsourcing ops a little bit, So, but I think that the way it works best is that it's a supported model that the publisher is involved in, right? So, because you want to have control over your business, you want to have control over those advertisers, and you want to build those direct relationships. So,
Yeah, I agree. And I even think one of the best uses of like a platform like that is to actually have a salesperson out in the field with the tool, the very same tool,
yeah,
right? And then, one
and
of the
that
things that,
happens.
say it
That
again.
happens, Rob. That happens, Rob. I mean, we've had some publishers, we deliver a platform and they tell us how they use it we didn't even think of before, right? And one case was as a publisher said to their sales reps, we trained them on it. They go out, they show it to their agencies and their clients, and next thing they know, they were getting orders from, agencies that they didn't even know they had that account, and the agency would never have thought to talk to the sales rep about such a small piece of business. So it's really about, when it comes to self-serve, and I know we're talking a lot about self-serve, is that what the publisher is actually doing is making their inventory accessible 24/7. Just like you can buy an airline ticket 24/7, or you can go on Amazon and buy whatever it is 24/7. That's what this is, and I think that's incredibly important for publishers to keep in mind when it comes to investing in a self-serve platform.
Yeah, I agree. And I think, yeah, and I also feel like one of the things that I've seen the evolution of it with our conversations has been, again, it's not about leaving the advertiser on their own to figure it out, but if anything, like you hit it on before, just like the support piece of helping them. Like I think we've kind of seen some publishers almost like use the phrase of like it's actually kind of a form of white glove service,
Yeah. Yeah.
meaning, oh, you want that report, and 24/7. The advertiser's thinking 24/7, right? And they're thinking, I want the report when I want the report, not when you're available to send it to me.
There's
So
no
make
doubt
it
about that.
available to them. It isn't about convincing them that they have to log in, that you're not going to do it.
Yeah.
It's there for them. You're always available to them. And I think that that's an aspect of this that just is like a language change I think we're kind of seeing in this
Yeah.
particular area.
Well, what they need is always available to them. When they wake up in the middle of the night thinking, oh, I wonder how my campaign's doing, log on. Oh, I need to make some changes. Oh, I forgot that report. That kind of thing. So these are all just sort of, advantages that we're talking about having self-serve, but it's a very considered decision still. So
Well, we focus a lot on self-serve and on tangling and automation and stuff like that. One of the things that is also coming up is going to be, the DanAds Summit. This is again where we get people together in person to have some of these conversations and whatever. I'm just kind of curious, Paul, what excites you about the upcoming event?
well, what excites me the most is that I'm going to be there. So um, um, I actually this is the fourth year we've done it. It's a rather small event, but it's grown every year. We had over 100 people last year, and I think we're on track to have 170 this year. It's a real mix of people, senior people, with some really good speakers, for a very senior level of some big media companies, and there's also a lot of our partners, other ad tech partners. And we have a lot of our customers there. So there's a lot of customers that come, and then there's new people, new customers that are looking to understand, how do I make this work for me? What's your experience? This, that. So that sort of knowledge sharing part of it is, for me, is really the biggest value. And there's always a lot of insightful discussion, and obviously you bring a lot to the show, Rob. So, yeah, it's on October the 15th. It's at the same location, which I believe is on 29th and 5th. And if you need any convincing, there's always great Swedish candy and pastries there. They bring them specially over for it. So it'll be a good day. It'll be a really good day. So
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think again, I also would just say this is, someone that works with a lot of people that put on events and whatever. Uh, One of the parts I feel that each year Dan Ads is looking to kind of to keep moving the conversation
yeah,
further, right? So this isn't, it's, just this aspect of going of like, how much can we kind of tackle in a day and, some of these bigger topics and whatever. So again, if it didn't convince you with the Swedish candy, the conversation, October 15th in New York, and
yeah,
you know, get make sure we know that you want to come. There's
yeah.
go to Dan Ads and sign up for the event. Paul will be there this year,
Yeah.
and
I've
Paul.
been there every year. I'm an OG dude. Yeah. So
Well, I look forward to seeing you there and the event itself. And Paul, thanks for the conversation. I love catching up with you.
yeah, you too, Rob. It's been great. Thanks a lot. Thanks for having me.